So in this specific clip we see how well coordinated Ruben Amorim's patterns of play are, but also how Amorim could improve its effectiveness with the current Manchester United squad. But before I come on to that specific clip, let me break down why at Sporting Ruben Amorim loved to use Giovanni Quenda as a right wing back. So during his time at Sporting, we did see Amorim utilise a left-footed right winger like Quenda at right wing back, and one of the reasons why he would do this is to open up different passing angles. For example, here against Manchester City, as Sporting are building out under pressure from the defensive third, Quenda is instructed to drop into a deep position on the flank, and the benefits of this are first that he drags the opposition left back high up the pitch, creating space in behind down the right channel. But also as Quenda receives the ball here, if he was a right footer like Dalot or Mazraoui, his two options would be to either bounce the ball back inside into the central midfielder, which whilst being a good passing option would still keep Sporting inside City's pressing shape, or they could open up their body, turn out and look for a pass down the line. Whilst either pass could definitely work, neither pass is the optimal option, because it keeps Sporting on the right side, allowing City to then squeeze over and congest the space, making it easier for them to press the Sporting players and win the ball back in a dangerous area. However, because Quenda is left footed when he receives the ball, just naturally because his body is between the oncoming presser and the ball, it makes it hard for the City player to put in a tackle or block any pass. And so because of the natural angles of a left footer, Quenda is able to exploit the space on the far side, created as a byproduct of City's narrow pressing shape, switching the play and now enabling Sporting to progress the ball into the space down the left flank. But before I come on to some more examples, if you do want to check out any of the new season jerseys or any club or international retro jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. They've got a variety of different shirts. If you use code Atlantis at checkout, you'll get a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which I will leave linked in the description. So here we see Quenda receives the ball on the right flank with Guardiola, the City left back, immediately within a yard or two of him as soon as he takes his first touch. Now Quenda being left footed just naturally is going to want to cut inside onto his stronger foot, rather than driving down the outside on his right, which of course can cause issues with the play becoming over congested in the centre. However, we see how Amorim uses coordinated movements in order to balance this out, as Trincao makes a diagonal movement from the half space on the inside of Guardiola and Quenda into the space in the channel behind the City left back, and the effect of this is that Guardiola is forced to track the run, dropping off from Quenda, who can now carry the ball into that space that Trincao has vacated, and from here we can see exactly why Amorim likes to use a left-footed winger in the right wing back position, as now Quenda has a perfect angle on his strong foot to play a through ball between the City centre backs, releasing Gyökeres into a 1v1 position, from where he finishes with a strike into the ground, which bobbles over Ederson and into the net, giving Quenda an assist. And it's not solely that Quenda's left-footed, which is the reason why Amorim likes to use him in the right wing-back position, as his weight and timing of his pass when threading these passes in behind the back line is exceptional for such a young player. In this example, the ridiculously high line from the opposition and lack of pressure on the ball does make his job a lot easier, but we do see a lot of Premier League sides unable to exploit systems that push their back line this aggressively high up the pitch, and utilising an offside trap, with Tottenham being one example and Brighton probably being a better example at the moment. What you'll notice about Ruben Amorim's Sporting, however, is that the balance of the movement across the forward line is perfect, as Gyökeres isn't just trying to make a vertical movement in behind, instead he arcs his run to stay onside and make the movement between the left back and the left-sided centre-back, with Morita and Pedro Goncalves on the other side pushing up onto the shoulder of the last defender from midfield, giving Sporting an overload when Gyökeres is released in behind. In this next example we see Quenda in a defensive situation initially, where the pass goes out to Núñez, and immediately Quenda is assertive with pushing out onto him, being a yard or two away instantly, which means that when Núñez takes a heavy touch, Quenda can use his acceleration from a standing start to jump ahead of Núñez, but also shows his physical maturity in this type of defensive duel, as he gets his arm across Núñez, putting his body between the City player and the ball, before now driving forward, and once again, with Quenda driving in field, we see the diagonal movement from Trincao, starting in a half space on the inside of Guardiola, before making the run in behind him into the channel, and Quenda finds him with a perfectly weighted and timed reverse pass, and now Trincao is goal side of Guardiola and can look to progress the ball down the flank. And this movement of the attacking midfielder in the half space spinning into the channel, combined with the use of a wing back cutting inside onto their stronger foot, alongside the use of a centre forward who can receive possession under pressure, with his back to goal and link the play, leads to Amorim's side having some consistent and well coordinated patterns of play, enabling them to progress the ball up the pitch effectively. And I think these patterns of play could be further improved with the current Manchester United squad. So this is the example I was talking about at the start of the video, as the setup from Amorim is almost perfect, but I think it could be improved. So the pass goes up the line into Quenda with the RWB left back following his movement deep, and if you look on the inside you can see that this is used as a trigger for Trincao to spin from the half space into the space in the channel that the left back has vacated, which then works to drag the centre back who had pushed up onto him in the half space back into a wider and deeper position, with Gyökeres not pulling over to the right side just yet, but instead holding a high and central position in order to pin the RWB centre back into the defensive line, which now opens up the half space for Quenda to cut inside into, and from here Quenda is once again going to showcase the benefit of using a left footer at right wing back, as he's able to work the ball into Gyökeres with a line breaking pass. And I think what should happen if this is Manchester United is that with either Højlund or Xerxes, probably Xerxes in this type of situation, receiving possession as a centre forward, the central midfielder behind them, Morita in this example, or one of Amorim's midfield double pivot at Manchester United, maybe Mount, Bruno Fernandes, or Kobbie Mainoo when he returns, should have already anticipated this forward pass from Quenda into Gyökeres' feet to move into a position in behind the midfield line, looking to then receive the layoff from Gyökeres, from where the left-sided attacker in the front three, Goncalves in this example, can then look to make a darting run in behind the back line between the right back and centre back, where from the central midfielder receiving the layoff from Gyökeres can then look to find them with a through ball. Alternatively, this pattern of play also opens up the opportunity for Gyökeres to drop deep to receive the pass and then look to bounce a ball in behind the left-sided centre-back in order to release Trincao in behind down the right side, with Sporting's left-sided attacker then breaking in behind, looking to receive the pass across goal to release him in a 1v1. However, this is a prime example of how you can clearly see that the tactical system is better than the personnel inside it, as both Sporting attacking midfielders Goncalves and Trincao don't really have the pace to be significant threats in behind the back line, and so we don't see them take advantage of this space, with Gyökeres not having these passing lanes open, and so is unable to play the pass in behind, but also Morita, the central midfielder, either doesn't have the anticipation or the athleticism to make this early forward movement in order to get ahead of the opposition's midfielder and receive that layoff from Gyökeres either. Now with the Manchester United squad, Amorim doesn't have a clear and obvious ready-made wing-back option to use from the right, or at least someone who would be a left footer. I think Dalot from the left would actually work perfectly, playing those type of line breaking passes and long balls over the back line that we saw from Quenda. On the right, if Amorim wanted to use a left footer, it would have to be one of Antony or Amad initially, and certainly in possession I think both could fulfill this role very well, obviously depending on whether Antony could pick up some sort of form. But the reason why using Amad as a player in the right sided half space may actually not work so well in this pattern of play is because this player making those diagonal movements from in to out ideally should be someone that is right footed and has the pace to break in behind the back line. Amad isn't exactly slow, but with him being left footed, just naturally like Quenda, he is going to want to naturally cut back inside on his left foot when he is released down the line. Whereas with Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes, they obviously would be receiving the ball down the channel on their strongest foot, and so whilst they would work well, you could also say that neither have blistering pace, which is something that I think Amorim needs from the player in this role in order to take this pattern of play to the next level. And so I actually think Garnacho or Rashford could be decent options in this interior forward role. See, a lot of people seem to look at Amorim's 3-4-3 like it's FIFA or even Football Manager, with a very limited mindset where the players playing in those attacking midfield positions, let's call them, either side of the forward, have to be players who are naturally inclined to operate centrally like Bruno, Amad or Mount, and not what you'd regard as wide players such as Garnacho or Rashford, when in reality if you actually watch Amorim's Sporting Lisbon and their patterns of play, particularly when looking to progress the ball down the channels, having players with the pace to start in the half space and then making a arcing run to burst into the space down the channels, this could actually be a lot more effective at actually getting in behind the opposition's defensive line and creating chances in the final third. And so that's a reason as to why, particularly for this pattern of play, both Rashford and Garnacho could actually excel in these interior positions, because a lot of the time they are going to be spinning in behind into wide positions, and with a left footer like either Amad or Antony in that deeper position on the right flank, as well as Dalot on the other side, United would have wing backs to perform these sort of line breaking passes infield into the centre forward that we saw from Quenda under Ruben Amorim. However, in a future video I am going to explain why Amad could still pick up these sorts of positions that we saw Quenda in possession, but through actually still playing as an interior forward rather than a wing back. But I will be analysing how Amorim will have to make a few adjustments to his patterns of play in order to accommodate this. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. Also check out my Patreon, you can sign up to the Instagram in-game analysis group chat and get access to my unreleased tactical videos as well. I'll leave the link in all of the usual places. In this example, we see the pass once again go up the line to Quenda, who's dropped off towards the ball. Guardiola's just a few yards behind him, and once again you can see the benefits of Amorim utilising a left footer as a right wing back, as if Quenda was right footed, he only has two main options: either bounce the ball back inside to Morita on the inside, which actually is a very good option considering the amount of space that Morita has, or alternatively he could look to turn out and play the pass up the line. However, only as a left footer can Quenda pull off the pass that he attempts, which is a first time curling long pass falling directly into Gyökeres's feet, with Trincão once again making that curved run from in to out, running off the back of Bernardo Silva into the channel. And this direct curling pass from a deep position on the flank is something that Amorim uses fairly frequently to progress the ball out of the defensive third, as in this example once again the ball goes out to Quenda as he drops off towards the ball, this time inside the Sporting defensive third level with the box, and what you can see is that Sporting are being pressed aggressively in a man-to-man setup, and so with these 2 or 3 Sporting players in the centre moving towards the ball, they in turn are dragging the opposition's midfield line higher up the pitch, creating more space between the lines, which means that when Quenda is able to pull off this long pass into Gyökeres's feet, who has dropped off to open up the passing lane, now because Morita and Trincão have first dragged their presser high and then turned quickly to follow the movement of the ball, now they are goal side of their players, with Gyökeres having the option of linking the play with Morita on his inside, laying the ball off for Trincão, or spinning into the channel and driving down the outside of the centre back, into that space created through Quenda dragging the left back high up the pitch initially. So thank you for watching, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and check out my Patreon for the Instagram group chat as well as unreleased tactical videos as well.